and in that you must have studied organelles such as nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria, okay, microfilaments. Okay, so all these structures are actually made up of various atoms and molecules. They compromise and they form a particular shape which gives a structure, which is a structural unit of a structural and to be precise, structural and functional unit of a human being, that is a single cell. Now these cells join together to form tissues. These are already, you must be aware of all this. We are simply repeating so that we need not go back and just have confusion. So various cells join together to form a tissues. So same like that, example here it is given, smooth muscle cell. Various smooth muscle cells join together to form smooth muscle tissue. Now, where the smooth muscle tissue is present, smooth muscle tissues are present in various organs. So, this is the next level. So, you see first level, which is a chemical level. Next is cellular level. Okay, cells join together to form tissue level. Okay, you take any other cells. Example, instead of a smooth muscle cell, you take a connective tissue cell. Okay, connective tissue cells can be various types. Okay, or else you take epithelial tissue. So anything, any cell joined together to form various tissues, and these tissues, different tissues joined together to form organs. So here we have taken smooth muscle. So smooth muscle tissue gives rise to a organ in a particular shape. They are arranged in a particular order. They are arranged so that an organ is formed. So this is the next level, which is called as organ level. The organ joined together to form systems. So for example, here we are talking about digestive system. You take any system, no problem. So here in digestive system, it starts with oral cavity. From the oral cavity, you enter and it will you enter and it will start with the oral cavity, then pharynx, larynx. So all these structures, sorry, not larynx, pharynx, esophagus, stomach. Okay, from the stomach you enter into the duodenum, then small intestine, then large intestine. So all this and related and associated glands. So all this will together form this particular system, which is called as digestive system. So like this, various systems join together and gives rise to a organism. Okay, especially when we are talking about this one, that is human organism, which we are going to concentrate and which we are going to do in this particular area, right? So this is what we are explaining in this particular presentation. Same thing, the cells, tissues, organs, and organ systems. Various organ systems you are going to learn: integumentary system, skeletal, muscular, nervous system. All this you are going to do it one by one in detail. Then comes to the next level, that is these are the other systems which we'll not discuss about that. Yeah, this is what we were supposed to discuss yesterday, but we couldn't complete it. This is called as anatomical position. Now here onwards, you can start taking notes. This is the most important concepts, and the names you have to do it again and again, repeat again and again, so that it becomes easier for you to understand, right? Now, what are various anatomical positions we will see? Okay, so what are the various anatomical positions we can see? When we are talking about the anatomical position, so the person or the subject, okay, has to be present in front of you, okay, and you are explaining your anatomical position. For example, we are talking about uh, can you all see the screen?
Ma'am, there's a dialog box on the screen, so you need
Ma'am,
to shut that up.
Which one?
Man, there's a download
downloading anatomy terminology.
Okay, one second. I could not see anything like that. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So now what we are looking at is the anatomical position. When we are talking about anatomical position, always remember that you are describing your anatomical position. Okay. For example, if I'm the examiner and I'm sitting in front of you and I'm asking you, hold the lung in anatomical position or hold the heart in anatomical position. So you should be explaining your anatomical position to me. Okay. So always, for example, if I am telling my anatomical position, always remember what is anatomical position. It is a standardized method of observing or imaging the body that allows precise and consistent anatomical references. What are the anatomical references? Which is from me. Okay, if I am explaining how the structures are located in me. Okay, so always remember that becomes your anatomical position. What happens is mostly sometimes the students, when we ask anatomical position of the heart, they try to keep it in examiner's anatomical position. Okay, opposite persons, then it becomes wrong. So always remember this word is very important, anatomical position. So what is anatomical position? Normal anatomical position, the body should be straight. Okay, once again we'll go back. See, body should be standing upright, facing the observer. Okay, observer, who is the observer? Who is the observer? The one who is standing in front of you. Standing in front of you, not sitting. Okay, so standing upright, facing the observer at the head level. Head level means we should not bend our head. So we should be looking up towards the head level, eyes facing forward, feet flat on the floor, and arms on the sides. Okay, arms on the sides means, remember, see here, arm should be faced closer to the body, where to the hand we have two particular borders. Okay, excuse me 1 second, guys. Okay, so what we are discussing, we are discussing about, yes,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Who will be the observer facing the head level?
Mhm.
It will be me or someone opposite to me.
Someone opposite to you. Okay, anatomical position is your position which you are explaining to the observer who is standing in front of you. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So this will be anatomical position. One most important what you have to remember is the palm of the hand should be facing forward. Okay, this is the forward position. The palm should not be touching the sides of the thigh. It should be facing forward. Okay, ventral aspect. It has got two borders, that is lateral border and medial border. Medial border is on towards the little finger aspect. Okay, so, excuse me 1 second. So that is about the anatomical position. Palm should be facing forward. Okay, so this is the normal anatomical position of human body. So even when the cadaver is lying on the table, remember that anatomical position is facing upwards. Okay, so that means what? The cadaver is lying on the table, dissection table. So the face should be facing upwards. Okay, whereas the ventral aspect of the body, ventral aspect means anterior aspect of the body, should be facing anterior or the front. So this is the ventral aspect of the body that should be facing upwards on the table. Okay, so that is the anatomical position. Remember, this is the most important point which you have to keep in mind. So we'll come back to the anatomical terminology. What are the various terminology we will see? Okay, from here you can note down, these are very important points, and you have to keep repeating it again and again, otherwise you cannot remember the terms. So what are the various terms we will see? Head end of the body is called as cephalic end. Okay, what is it called as? Cephalic end. CEPHALIC, cephalic end. Tail end, there is no tail here. Foot end. Okay, so this is called as caudal end. What is caudal? CAUDAL, caudal. Caudal means the foot end. So if you take, this is the upper limb, this is the cranial end or the cephalic end, caudal end of the upper limb. So any organ, you can use these terms at the upper top of the, for example, if you take, only thumb, this is the thumb. So here, this is the cranial end or the cephalic end, this is the caudal end, tail end. Okay. So these are the two terms you have to remember. What is the head end called as? Cephalic or cranial. Whereas bottom, it is called as caudal, right? So when we are concentrating only on the head and neck regions, very basic terminology of head and neck regions we'll discuss. In cephalic end, we have got skull part, okay, and the face. Skull, we use the term cranial. For the face, we use facial, FACIAL. So we have facial artery, facial nerve, okay, facial blood vessels. So all this, how we can remember? Remember that the word is important. Why we are using this terminology? Whenever we are talking about certain blood vessels supplying that region, or certain fascia covering that region, certain nerves which are supplying that region, all starts with certain terminology, this particular terminology. That's why we should know these terms. So what are the things related to the head end or the skull or the contents inside the skull? These are called as cranial structures. Then face, facial structures. Okay, so then come to the face. You see forehead. In the forehead, the word is frontal. Eye, orbital. Ear, otic. Okay, frontal. Frontal means this is facing forwards. So frontal. Orbital. Orbital. Okay, orbital also refers to circular. So orbital. Ear, otic, cheek, buccal. Okay, so please, you have to pronounce this again and again. Cheek, buccal region. Nose, nasal region. Okay, we have nasal blood vessels, nasal plexus of nerves. Okay, nasal apertures. Mouth, oral cavity. Okay, any structures related to the oral cavity? We have oral blood vessels. Okay, we have nerve structures, muscles around the mouth. So all starts with oral. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when we are talking about mental area, okay, get back to
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
Hello. Ma'am,
yeah,
you're not audible.
Now I'm.
Ma'am, you're not audible. Your camera is also not working.
Now is it okay? Can you hear?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Ma'am, your voice is lagging.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So we are discussing about various terms. As we had discussed, the various. I hope you have heard about these regions. Okay, forehead, frontal, eye, orbital, ear, otic, cheek region, buccal, nose region, nasal, mouth, oral region, chin, mental region. Okay, so any structure related to this, like mental protuberance, okay, mental eminence, mental tubercles, so all that is related to the chin region. Okay, then we have got the neck region. Remember that wherever we have constrictions, okay, these regions are called as cervical region. So you can see the cervical word here. So when we are talking about blood vessels supplying the neck, you say that cervical artery, cervical vein, cervical plexus of nerves. So like that. Okay. So when you know that whenever we say that cervical artery, so you know that yes, that's the artery supplying the neck region. Okay. So like that, these terms are very important. Now this is head and neck regions. There are various terms as you go superficial to deep. Superficial means outermost. Deep means innermost. So as you go from superficial to deep, you will come to know more and more names and terms. So we will go ahead. Other than this, what else? We have the trunk of the body. In the trunk, we have three regions. We can see it is divided by two planes into three parts. What are the three parts? Thoracic cavity, abdominal cavity, and pelvis. In thoracic cage, we have the structures outside the thoracic cage are mammary region or the breast region. And when you enter into the thoracic cage, cage means the bony rib cage. Okay. So inside the thoracic cage, the main organs, what you will see is the lungs and heart. There are various other structures also, but we will not discuss that right now. Now, from the thorax to abdomen, there is a big muscle inside, which is called as diaphragm, which separates the thoracic cage from the abdomen. Okay, so what is abdomen? Abdomen is the area which is present between the thoracic cage and the pelvis. In the abdomen, what are the main contents you will see? You will see liver, stomach, intestines, basically intestines, okay, small and large intestine. Then we have kidneys, suprarenal glands, abdominal aorta, inferior vena cava, etc., etc. So many structures. These structures you can see in the dissection hall. You will be dissecting and you will be looking at all these structures more in detail. Then we have pelvis. In this region, pelvis, again, you will see male and female genital systems as well as the urinary and the rectum and anal canals. Okay, so urinary system like urinary bladder, ureter, and urethra. So all these structures will be present within the pelvic structures. So here what you will be studying as a dental student, you will be studying head, face, neck regions in more detail. Thorax and abdomen, pelvis, you will study system wise. Okay, like cardiovascular system, digestive system, like that. So system wise we will be teaching you. And then we have limbs. These are limbs, upper limb and lower limb, which we will not be Fortunately, you will not be studying this because a lot of structures are present here and you will not need this. This is not a part of your curriculum. So you will not be studying upper limb and lower limb. These are called as limbs, Limbs. Okay, limbs. Limbs are called as appendages of the body. What are appendages? Appendages means the structures which are hanging from the main pillar. So these are extra parts which are hanging from the main trunk. So these are called as appendages of the body. The skeleton which is present inside is called as appendicular skeleton. The skeleton which is present inside the trunk is called as axial skeleton. Axial means the center skeleton. So this is called as axial skeleton. This is called as appendicular skeleton. Okay, so I hope you are clear about what is a skeleton. Skeleton means the bony structures, whatever we can see. Okay, so this view, what you are looking at, this view at the frontal side, what you are looking at, this is called as anterior view of the body, or it is also called as ventral view of the body, right? So anterior or ventral view, both are same. Now you look at the dorsal view. This is the dorsal view of the body. When we are talking about dorsal, it is also called as posterior view of the body. Okay, if a person or if a subject is lying on the bed with the face upwards, so that is called as supine position. So what are the positions we are learning now? Anterior, okay, or upright position. Upright means we are standing upright. Okay, so that is upright position. What is supine position? Lying down on the bed. That is called as supine position. Okay, so dorsal means on the back side or the posterior position of the body. Okay, so I hope I'm clear till here, everyone. I hope it's clear. Anyone who has got questions can ask me. Okay, so now this is the dorsal view of the body. In dorsal view, again, you have got lot of names which we will not discuss right now, so that's not required for you. So what is the dorsal aspect of the palm? This is more important once again. So palm is the ventral aspect of the time. Okay, so ventral aspect, whereas this one, this posterior aspect is this one. Okay, this is called as dorsal aspect. So face, ventral aspect, dorsal aspect. Okay, chest cavity, front is the ventral aspect, back is the dorsal aspect. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. You can join back with the same link again. Okay, now what is reclining position? Okay, so I told you when the person is lying down. Okay, so that is, we will have two types of positions. Supine position, when the body is lying face up. Okay, when the cadaver is on the table with the face upwards, that is called as supine position. You lie down on a bed in supine position. Or we can turn it backside. If you want to dissect on the back, what we have to do, we have to turn the cadaver backside. So that is called as prone position. Okay, what are the positions? Supine position and prone position. Clear? Till here, I hope everyone are clear. Now,
Yes, ma'am.
there are various
Yes.
planes. Okay, what are various planes? These planes are important. That means any structure we are studying, we study in a particular view. Okay, and we take sections and we see how we can see the particular structure in a view, different views. Okay, so how these planes are important, we will see as we understand what are the planes. First, midline. Can you see this midline? This midline is called as mid-sagittal plane. What is mid-sagittal plane? Sagittal or sagittal plane. It divides the body into two equal halves. Okay, exactly in the center, if you are taking a section, that is the mid-sagittal section. Okay, you take heart, you take a section, middle, sagittal section of the heart. Okay, you take a lung, you take a sagittal section of the lung. Divide the lung into two equal halves. Okay, right and left halves. That is a sagittal section. Head, face, neck region. You take a midline section, divides into right and left equal halves. That is a mid-sagittal section. Okay, I hope I'm clear here. Yes. Now let's see the another section, this one. Okay, which is dividing the body into anterior and posterior parts. Okay, that means I'm dividing my body into anterior and posterior parts, right? So this plane is called as coronal plane. What is it called as? Coronal, Coronal, coronal plane. So here frontal plane is written. Okay, frontal plane appears only to the head neck regions. You can call it as coronal plane. Okay, coronal means entire body. Brain, we take a coronal section of the brain. What is coronal section? It divides the brain into anterior part and the posterior part, right? Divide the brain into two equal halves, midline section, mid-sagittal section. Okay, so two sections we had discussed. What are the two sections? Sagittal section, coronal section. Okay, so coronal section. You have to study anatomy of various organs in different sections because you have to understand what are the various relations to it. What are the surrounding structures which are present? So that's why these sections are important to us. What are the other planes? Here we can see one more plane, transverse plane. Transverse plane divides the body, okay, cut the body transversely. Okay, you can take transverse section of the neck. For example, transverse section of the neck at C6 level. C6 is sixth cervical vertebra. So if I take a section here, C6 level, there are a lot of structures which are changing. So these structures are important for us during exam. So there can be a short note question for you saying that write or draw, okay, draw transverse section of transverse section at the level of C6. Okay, that can be a short note question for you. So what is a transverse section? It divides horizontally the body structures. So this is called as transverse plane or horizontal plane. Clear? Then if you're going bit lateral to the midline, so this is the midline, you're going lateral to the midline. Now these two words are important, medial, lateral. What are medial? What are lateral? Medial means the ones which are coming towards the midline. Okay? For example, nose is medial to the eyes. Okay? Nose is medial to the eyes. Eyes are lateral to the nose. Okay, I hope I'm clear now. Please repeat by yourself. You can write down, you can understand by yourself, make your own examples, then you will get it. Okay, little fingers are medial structure, medial to the body. That means what? Closer to the body. Thumbs are lateral structures. Okay, that means thumb is in anatomical position. See the anatomical position. Thumb is lateral. Little finger is medial. Okay, medial, medial. So I hope you are clear. So if I'm taking a midline section, mid-sagittal section, parasagittal section means little lateral to it. If I'm taking para on the sides, okay. So midline and parasagittal sections. Parasagittal section means little lateral to that. If you take a section, it becomes parasagittal section. Clear till here, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
okay if you're not understanding, okay?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes, tell
Can
me.
you repeat once?
So we have, what are the various sections we studied? One is the coronal section. What is coronal section?
Up to which section it is coronal, full, or up to transverse?
Frontal plane is the coronal section. Okay,
Okay.
which divides the body into anterior part and the posterior part, right?
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, you said coronal plane divides the body in anterior and posterior, no?
yes,
So the anterior part is the frontal plane, no?
anterior part, frontal plane is different, Baba. Frontal view is different. Okay, frontal plane is the plane which is dividing into two parts. This frontal plane divides only the head and neck regions. So I don't use this word frontal here. I use coronal plane. What is coronal plane?
Okay.
Coronal plane divides the entire body. You
But-
take any region. Okay. What is frontal view? Frontal view is you are looking from the front. That is frontal view.
Okay.
Okay.
So the coronal plane divides the entire body in anterior and posterior, and the
Yes.
frontal plane divides the head and neck region. No.
Regions. Yes, absolutely. So clear till here? I hope
Ma'am, can you explain? Ma'am, can you explain parasagittal again?
Okay, then we studied about mid-sagittal plane. Mid-sagittal plane is the midline section which divides the body into two halves, right and left halves. So exactly at the midline we are taking the section. I hope you are looking at my video. That is important, okay? So
Yes, ma'am.
section divide the body into two equal halves. Okay, if I am taking a section little lateral to the sagittal section. Okay, lateral means away from the midline. So mid-sagittal section is exactly midline. For example, if this is the midline section, I'm taking little lateral to the midline section, that becomes parasagittal section. Para means on the sides. Okay, we can take two parasagittal sections on both sides of midline. So
Yeah.
these are parasagittal planes. Okay, mid-sagittal plane. Transverse.
Can you give the example of parasagittal plane?
Yes. For example, mid-sagittal section is exactly passing through the nasal septum. Nasal septum means the wall which divides the nose into two nostrils, two cavities. That is the mid-sagittal. If I am taking through the ala of the nose, okay, please look at the video. Ala means the wings of the nose. These are called as ala of the nose. So please join back again. We have less than a minute using the same link. Okay. So these are called as ala of the nose. Now, if I'm taking a parasagittal section, it passes through the ala of the nose. Okay. Right. So I can take little lateral